This is God.
You're on a mission.
Ooh.
You're on a
Holy
mission.
mission. You work for me.
You are special. You are special.
I'll be with you. Go back down to Earth.
You're on a mission. On a mission.
Spread love in my name.
Go do my bidding.
You work for me.
You're special. On a mission.
You're on a mission.
I'll send my angels. Angels to watch over you. Go back down there to hell realm. You're on a special mission. Mission. Praise God. Mission. Mission. You're on a special mission. Mission. Praise God. Praise God. Praise God. Praise God.
It is your time now to be in heaven. You have a mission. It is your time now to be in heaven. You have a mission.
You're on a special. Praise God.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello. 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 I'm going to do something a little bit different today with this video. This is about being on a mission. There's a lot of people who have an NDE and they're told by some figure that they're on a mission, that they have to go back. They have to go back to Earth. They have to go back into their body and do a mission for God or for Jesus or for whoever it is, whatever entity it is. A spirit guide might say that. A group of entities, some council of 12, fake spirit guides, fake angels, fake Jesus. You have to go back to Earth, into your body, into your broken body. You just died, but you got to go back. You're on a mission for God. God needs your help. You're not done yet. You have more to do down there. In hell realm, I mean Earth. You don't want to go back to your body. Well, why would God need you, this omnipotent, all-powerful, all-knowing being? Why would he need you as a puppet or a tool? Why don't you go and do it? Why don't you go and fix the mess on Earth? What do you need me to do that for? What are you using me for? Why don't you do it? Why don't you go fix the mess you created? You go down there and fix it. You go down there and fix the fucking sewer matrix. You go down there in the sewage, the disease, the violence, the evil, the suffering, the pain, watching others. Fucker. You go do it. You get down there and do it, bitch. You little bitch. And yeah, I am talking about your so-called God. You people that still, some of you, quite a few thousand I would estimate in the soul trick community, if you want to call it that, still believe in this God. So do flat earthers. Most truthers do. People that call themselves truthers. You get down there, bitch, and fix your mess. Clean up your mess. You made this shithole. I'm not going down there to do a mission for you. You're a monster. Now, do most people have that mindset? No, they don't. They'll do anything for God or anything for Jesus, even if they're saying, no, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can make the world see that they have to love each other. Mission impossible. Mission absurdity. That's what it is. It's ridiculous. It's foolish. Any mission for that so-called God, that monster, is foolish. It's a fool's mission. You'll never improve this place. It's setting you up for failure. It's setting you up for more suffering, more pain. Sorry, I'm not laughing at that. It's just I'm stumbling over my words so much in this video. I'm kind of laughing at myself. I'm giggling at myself because I've stumbled over quite a few words. But I'm not used to making videos this way. I'm using a different software program. I'm not making excuses, but everything looks entirely differently on my screen. And the Jesus image that I'm looking at is just kind of making me... I'm trying not to laugh at this shit, but I created this fake AI image, Jesus with angel wings, and he kind of has this serious look on his face. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm gonna change the image to something else temporarily. All right, here he is. Jesus. He almost has a hint of sadness, but just a weird look. It's interesting, though, the way, and you don't even have to describe it, at least the program that I use. Just Jesus in heaven, angelic, angel wings or something. Not much of a prompt to create this. I didn't describe the looks of Jesus, like the hair length. AI just says, well, this is what Jesus looks like. It's good enough. And you know it's good enough for most people because anything that shows up, they're going to think is Jesus if it resembles this, even the least bit, and has light around him. They'll say, oh, he was so bright and glowing, and oh, he was so good, and I know it was Jesus because there was light around him, and he looked nice and kind. He had kind eyes, and it was Jesus. It was Jesus. Jesus loves me. Our God is an awesome God. And in a way, I used to feel sorry for these people years ago. I've been watching NDE videos and researching them and studying them and analyzing them for many years now, over 3 years with the Sanity Machine, but years before then, before I had that channel. Okay? And at first you think, oh, damn, they're getting fooled, but they love it. That's the other part of it. That's the aspect, the psychological aspect most people neglect. People in this realm love to be duped, and they hate the truth. They'll yell at me. They'll come at me with hostility and threats and wishes for me to burn in hell and for God to punish me just for telling them the truth. Most people in this realm hate the truth with a passion. And they want to be fooled, and I can't help them. I can put truth out in this realm until my dying breath, but it won't reach very many minds or spirits or hearts, because most in this realm are foobar. They want to see stuff like this and be duped. It's going to make them feel good. And when I tell them the truth in this realm, they don't like how it makes them feel. And most humans go by feelings, not by what's true or not by what has evidence, not by what fits together with the patterns, what makes sense, what adds up, what matches reality. In other words, this particular reality we're in currently is full of pain, suffering by design, disease by design, violence, evil by design, all sorts of hardships, disorders by design, people born with no arms, no legs, people born with so many conditions. It's all by design. Parasites by design, cockroaches, the list goes on. You've seen mountains of evidence on my channels. And people don't want to look at that. They want to look at what's on the screen and say, oh, praise Jesus. Save me, Jesus. Save me. What? I thought, oh, I know. I want to stay in heaven. I want to stay here with you. You can't send me back. Please, Jesus. Don't send me back down there into that broken body. I don't want to go back down there. I want to stay here. in heaven. It feels so good here. It feels better here. Out of body. I'm not in pain anymore. Why would you have to go back? How could any good being send you back? Talk you into going back? Convince you got to go back into that shithole? Would a parent do that to a child? If they're a loving parent, send them somewhere that's going to torture them. The thing on the screen is not good. I just proved it. No good being would send you into this hellhole. I wouldn't send, if this place wasn't full of demons, I wouldn't send people that I don't like into this place. If they were people. People. And they had a spirit and they just weren't totally good, but they weren't a demon. Now, am I going to send demons into here? Absolutely. This place is fit for demons. It's tailor-made for demons. The demons belong here. They should stay here forever. But if it were a different kind of realm, where I just had disagreements and didn't like, let's say, my next door neighbor or whoever, I wouldn't just send them here to be fucking tortured and to suffer and to get recycled endlessly and go through this. They wouldn't deserve that. But Jesus sends really good spirits here, including innocent children, and tells them they have to go back. They have a mission. They're not done yet. It's not your time yet. And convinces them and pressures them, manipulates them, gaslights them, does all these sorts of things. And people applaud. And they think, Jesus is good. He knows what he's doing. That's the thing. We're in a realm full of simple beings that want to be simple. They want to be simple. They don't want to see. They want to follow so-called authority figures. They want to follow. They don't want to think. Few in this realm want to think for themselves. They want to shut off their minds and follow. Follow along. Follow along. They want to follow Jesus. All right. So we're going to take a look into this. This woman's had multiple NDEs. Child dies is shown truth about our dimension manifestation. I'll go back to the beginning. I'm going to skip through this a little bit, though. I'm not going to play the whole thing for you.
Hello, how are you? My name is Tamara Calder Richardson, and I am a 6-time near-death experiencer. Some of you might have heard me as a Southern Belle medium, some of the after effects of my gifts. They were all very uniquely different, which I believe that all my near-death experiences and many other multiple near-death experiences like me also have many after effects and also spiritual abilities. If you want to call it that, very alone, I didn't feel that way. But I want to go back and recount some really, I think it's fascinating. I think it's really interesting information, what I found in my NDE when I was 4 and 5. So I want to go back to that, to both of them very quickly. In that time that I was 4 years old, my mom was dating, and she had the shotgun marriage, got a divorce. That did not work out. And so she is now a little bit older, and she's wanting a husband and a father for me. And so anyhow, he was a DJ. They went on a day date. He picked my mom and I up at my grandmother's, which was a very snowy day. And we went down the stairs. It was the back of an old Victorian house, and met him when we went out to eat pizza. I remember that Pizza Hut. And then we got ice cream. And I thought at that young age, it was kind of odd to eat ice cream, although I was never going to say no to eating ice cream. Little did I know I was allergic to gluten, but we did. And then afterwards, we went by his radio station. He had to pick up some papers. We were there about an hour and a half, and they dropped me off. And so about an hour and a half later, they're arguing. Said it's time to go. So we get in the car. They're in a horrible argument. The argument basically consisted of she wanting to get married. He wanted to wait till he had more money. But she wanted to get away under the thumb of her mother, my grandmother, And so here we go. We get in the car. Back then, they didn't really have car seats or mandatory, just with car seats. It was a big, large bucket seat. And he was arguing, put on the brakes. We spun around. I went up through the windshield. And the minute of the impact, I felt no pain. I did not feel pain. And I was just here, and then I was gone. And then I was in a very black space. Everything was black, which was confusing to me. And I was looking for my feet and my hands. I didn't know where they were because I was spirit. I didn't have any. I didn't know that. Because it happened so fast. It was so fast. Then I started feeling confused and a little afraid, because I afraid of or fear of kind of the unknown, like what happened. And so I saw this pin light coming toward me, and I had the sensation that I was in a tunnel. Maybe it was a portal. I don't know. I'll call it a tunnel. And not everybody with NDEs has tunnel experiences. They say only 30%. So I'm going
to jump in here. Out of body, when your spirit pops out of the meat suit, it can feel so natural, like you're still in a body. And you can look at your meat suit, but you don't feel like, oh, I don't have a body. There's no fear of that. You kind of have a spirit body, in a sense. It's hard to explain, but you still kind of have the sensation of being in a type of body, not like this, though, not like a flesh meat suit. When you're floating, and you could float and look down on your body. I used to go out of body as a child, and I would see entities in my bedroom at the foot of my bed, usually. And I can still remember that. Usually there'd be two of them at a time. It wouldn't just be one. There can be more. It doesn't mean that there's necessarily only two. But these entities are part of this matrix system. Now, some people would immediately jump to conclusions and say, well, those are aliens. They were trying to abduct you. These are the UFO types, the ones that look into that, the UFO truthers. And others that are religious truthers would say, well, Stephen, those were angels watching over you. I call them entities, which is a vague term on purpose, because I think it encompasses all of these different things. Archons, angels, demons, aliens, whatever. I think it's all of this matrix, just given different names and appearing in different forms. If you want to call them shapeshifters, whatever you want to call them. But they're under the same umbrella of this sewer matrix. That's how I look at it. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I hope so.
in this tunnel-like thing, and at the end I see something coming toward me. It was Jesus, and there was people behind him. His hair was flowing as though a fan was blowing on him, and his arms were stretched out, and he said that I had to go back. And for a minute there,
He said she had to go back. It wasn't Dolphin Jesus. Dolphin Jesus would have said, "Ee, ee, 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 ee." It was not Dolphin Jesus. You got to be careful about these Jesus characters with no face. And the robes, of course, always with the robes. The robes. They must have these robe stores in heaven where you can get Jesus walk on water sandals and robes. Custom made robes. I mean, it's ridiculous. You don't have a meat suit body. Why do you need a fucking robe over you? Think about it. Should just be energy, light energy, plasma.
there was people behind him. His hair was flowing as though a fan was blowing on him, and his arms were stretched out. And he said that I had to go back. And for a minute behind him, his hair was flowing. There was people behind him. His hair was flowing as though a fan was blowing on him, and his arms were stretched out. And he said that I had to go back. And for a minute there, I didn't really have an opinion, but when I saw him, I didn't know a whole lot. My grandmother mentioned Jesus. I kind of knew who he was, but I knew who he was when he showed up. I just knew. that he said that I had to stay, that I had a job to do. And I said, then I started arguing. I said, no. I said, I can't do this world. He said, you can and you must. And then he said, but I'll always be with you. And so behind him were people that I knew were relatives. Yeah, I hadn't met them. How I knew they're relatives, I don't know, but I did. And there was a bird that he had with him, and I accidentally threw an egg, which I thought was a ball, and I had killed.
Why would her relatives be there at the same spot with Jesus when she showed up? Because it's fake. It's a setup. It's fake. It's a setup. That's what it is.
And there was a bird that he had with him, and I accidentally threw an egg, which I thought was a ball, and I had killed a few months prior a bird, and it broke my heart, and I just could not forgive myself for hurting an animal. And so someone behind Jesus said, your bird's okay, we've got it. And so I love animals. That made me feel great. So when I do come back, I'm outside of my body. I'm very conscious. I'm seeing inside the situation, and they're getting someone to help, like these old two redneck guys in a old Wagoneer Jeep. The front tire was in the tree, so they're trying to pull it out. And I'm observing that, even though I'm not in my body, I'm kind of hovering around it, but I'm observing. And then on the outside, I'm seeing it looks like a rip in time. It looks like I call it a God portal. And it was gold and yellow and fire, but not scary. It was just like a God creation portal. I saw that. I also saw, which I called like a rip in time. And here it was. And then I saw an angel that was all gold and yellow that I knew to be Uriel. I also saw a cross in the park, which should have been frozen, which it was. But I also saw like Native American family cooking food over a fish with a baby, a man and a wife, or a woman, whatever. And then I saw overhead a hot air balloon, which kind of is impossible, but I tapped into some other reality. And then behind, there was a fire station. I saw firemen, but they were dressed in different time period fireman outfits. And then I saw other people that were friendly, but they were not really there. They were spirit people, but I could see them just like I could see anybody. And they were very concerned and friendly, and they were dressed in all different time periods. And a lady came up to the window and she goes, hi, my mother knew your grandmother. I'm Judith Hefner. She's shopped her jewelry store. And she was very friendly. And she said, we hear you're the one who's carrying our voices. And so I hear this whisper, she's careful. So I didn't know that I would actually talk to people for a living doing this later on, people that have crossed over, but I love them. I was spirit. So anyway, fast forward, I did have my nose busted up and 3 surgeries later to remove cartilage out of my nose and all of that. You know, I have still today have sinus problems, but considering that's okay. I'm fine. Thank God for that. And so
there's the thank God, of course. Thank God for that, right? You still have problems, sinus problems. That's no problem, right? Thank God, she said.
Of that, you know, I have still today have sinus problems, but considering that's okay. I'm fine. Thank God for that. And so I want to move into my next year. So she ends up marrying the DJ, right? He ends up adopting me. So we're not at this point, a year later, he's putting the adoption papers through. And so he wants to improve himself, right? Because he has a family now. So he gets hired at another radio station in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we moved there. And during this time, my mom, she didn't really have any particular skills. She knew some administration and typing, but she was basically a housewife. But she did do part-time work. And so while she was gone, I was being molested by the stepdad. So that I would hide under the bed. I would lock myself.
This is horrible. Is this the mission that God sent her to come back here for? The DJ married her mother and then put in for paperwork to adopt her. And while the mom was away, this is what was going on. Now, she was sent, keep in mind, she was already sent back with that NDE in the car wreck, told that she has to come back here for this to happen. Is that a loving God? Is that a good mission? Think about it. And she's not the only one that this happens to. Many, many children pass away. They're sent back here to suffer more. And you idiots that defend God, the ones that do, this is what you're defending. I want you to keep that in mind. Keep it on your conscience And I hope it eats away at you, or I hope it changes you and wakes you up. But I doubt that's going to happen with most of you, because you love defending that monster. That monster that sends children here to be preyed upon. And a lot of you in this realm, billions of you apparently, claim you love it. You love it. You love that sick fucking monster.
My mom, she didn't really have any particular skills. She knew some administration and typing, but she was basically a housewife. But she did do part time work. And so while she was gone, I was being molested by the stepdad. So that I would hide under the bed. I administration and typing, but she was basically a housewife. But she did do part time work. And so while she was gone, I was being molested by the stepdad. So that I would hide under the bed. I would lock myself in the closet. And I used to have a lot of conversations with God saying, I don't want to be here. And I used to say, can you kill him? And then I began to realize that that was wrong to ask that. So I said, well, just take me. So let me just tell you, if you say things like that, God hears you. So be careful if they're saying anything like that. So I did. And I said, I can't do this. I can't do this. So I got pneumonia and I got really ill. And the night that I got ill, the next day I was more ill. My mom didn't take me in. My stepdad didn't want her to take me. So we don't have the money, which my grandmothers would have spotted them and taken care of it. They were a couple hours away, but they would have helped for sure. So my mom finally called the hospital. They had the emergency room, but they didn't have these little centers you can go to now. And so she called and they said, put me on ice. My fever got up to 103.9, close to 100. I think it did get over 104, but
Why is that even possible for that to happen to a child? What she endured with the stepfather, and then with the sickness, the fever, and multiple near-death experiences, why should children go through that? How can you call it a loving God? How can you call it a mission from God? Because there's tons of people in this realm that say, we're here on a mission. We're here to learn. What are you learning by suffering and being abused?
Got up to 103.9, close to 100. Got up to 103.9, close to 100. You can go to now. And so she called and they said, put me on ice. My fever got up to 103.9, close to 100. I think it did get over 104, but I just remember the last was 103.9. She put me in ice. I remember that to this day, ice. When you're burning up, you do not want to be in a tub of ice. That was very shocking. And so I'm in the tub of ice, and then she dries me off. She tries to feed me. She doesn't realize my lungs are collapsing. And so I don't eat. I'm not hungry. I can't eat, actually. So I lay down to go to bed. She checks me in about an hour, and I'm completely soaked, the entire bed and my outfit. So she grabs me. She tells my stepdad, she's married to, she said, okay, we got to go now to the hospital. Well, in the meantime, Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated. So they put up National Guard everywhere. You could not leave. You couldn't drive, not after 10. So at this point, it was 11 p.m. We weren't allowed on the roads. You can get arrested. So he had a media car working at the station, WKIX. And so we got in the media car. And as we were driving along, I left my body.
Sorry to jump in again this quickly, but I have a video somewhere on my channel about Martin Luther King. You should look into that at some point. I recommend it. It's off topic from this, so I'm not going to go into it. But look up that video at some point.
At this point, it was 11 p.m. We weren't allowed on the roads. You can get arrested. So Luther King was assassinated. So okay, we got to go now to the hospital. Well, in the meantime, Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated. So they put up National Guard everywhere. You could not leave. You couldn't drive, not after 10. So at this point, it was 11 p.m. We weren't allowed on the roads. You can get arrested. So he had a media car working at the station, WKIX. And so we got in the media car. And as we were driving along, I left my body. I had shallow breathing and I died. And I saw all the fires going on and the riots in the distance. And I followed the car. I guess it was 150, 200 feet up in the air. I followed the car. Then sometimes I would come back inside. Then I'd follow the car above because I was kind of curious looking. I felt no pain because I was not in my body. The minute you're in your body, that's different. But I didn't feel any pain. And we hit the first barricade of the National Guard, and they said, "What are you doing?" And they could definitely see I was passed out or not breathing or something's going on. They called ahead and let us go straight through. And they even called the hospital for us, which I remember was Rex Hospital. So we went on, and when I got there, there was 8 to 12 assistants and a couple doctors waiting for me, and they rushed me in. But I'm not in my body. I'm above watching this whole thing and watching the team, watching go into the room, watching the lights. I'm just observing. It's kind of odd. I'm just observing in a detached manner my body. And then I'm seeing them pump out goop. They put me up to all this equipment and heart stuff. And then they put something where they're pump stuff out of my. So next thing I know, within a flash, I mean, it was just so quick. First of all, I'm in a field, the most gorgeous paradise field you've ever seen. I'm looking beside me, and there is Jesus. I knew for a fact it was him. Like even if you didn't know him, you would know him. You're thinking, how's that possible? He's a big deal over there, but it was him. And was very friendly. He was very glowy, emanating light coming out of him. Really beautiful teeth, very friendly, kind eyes. And he had my hand on the right side and he was kneeling. And I said, "You're that."
So he looked like a man with a flesh suit. He had hands, he had hair, he had eyes, he had teeth. He had a robe on. Not a spirit, he appears like this to them. Which is odd, isn't it? He appears like a man in a meat suit.
And he had my hand on the right side and he was kneeling, and friendly, kind eyes, and very glowy, emanating. It was him. And was very friendly. He was very glowy, emanating. You're thinking, how's that possible? He's a big deal over there, but it was him. And was very friendly. He was very glowy, emanating light coming out of him. Really beautiful teeth, very friendly, kind eyes. And he had my hand on the right side and he was kneeling. And I said, "You're that man I talked to," because my grandmother told me to talk to him, that he's your friend, which he is. He was my friend. He's resurrected me a few times, but he was beside me and he said, "You have to go back, little girl." And I pointed, and over to the left were children playing on a roundabout, where you spin around. I said, "Well, they're here." And he's like, "No, you have to go back." And I did have the sensation that I couldn't go, but so far I did have that sensation. But I'm looking at this beautiful field and it's just perfect, looking like a perfect day. And he finally said, "Well, you can stay a little bit longer." He said, "I want to tell you a few things. Walk with me." And he first told me before we started walking, he said, "You have to go back." He said that there's much that you have to do, that you've been given a lot, and that he wraps me in his protection and love. And then he goes, "Let's walk." So we started walking in this pasture. It was really beautiful grass, soft. The colors, amazing, just more vibrant, like when you turn your TV up, really vibrant. That's what it looked like. It was really pretty. Everything, right weather, smelled good. Yeah, you have senses. I'm thinking, why wouldn't God give us senses? But yeah, you have the sensation, even if you didn't really have a body like here. And I did have a body, but it obviously wasn't body like this. It wasn't flesh, but it was like a spirit body. I felt great. And we're walking along, and I'm seeing all the grass blades, all the flowers, clouds, the tree limbs. They're all following him.
So what about the millions of others, or at least thousands of others, excuse me, that died on earth at the same moment? Where was Jesus when Jesus was spending time with her? I know the answer, the brainwashed cult followers. He can be at so many places at one time. He could be speaking with 1,000 children that died at the same time, would be their answer, right? Because he's Jesus, he can do anything. So this is magical thinking, that's what it's known as. But I view it as delusional. It's delusional. And people don't mind being delusional because most of them never grow up. They're like children. They don't die and go out of body and say, "Why does everyone have a body here? Why does Jesus have a body? He looks like a man on earth. This seems fake. They don't do that. There's very few in this realm that are critical thinkers. Very few in this realm. And that hurts your ego, stings your egos, hurts your feelings, a lot of you humans. Because you want to view us as all the same level. And then some dummies get jealous and they try to compete with me, like Jeremy and others. Because they don't like the idea that we're not at the same level. We're not. Deal with it. Deal with the truth for once.
I felt great. And we're walking along, and I'm seeing all the grass blades, all the flowers, clouds, the tree limbs. They're all following him. And so we stopped in front of this tree, and there's a big rock there. He said, "We can sit here." And I felt I couldn't go past this tree. Now, I feel personally now this big tree was beautiful, was probably the tree of life. Okay, that's just my interpretation. But we sat, it felt like a significant tree. He sat.
That's in her imagination. That's what that is. And that's what they play on, your imagination, your ego. They want you to feel good and special. You're on a mission. You've got more work to do. You're special. They play to your ego, your emotions. That's what they do. And they also give you something. They don't give you all the answers. So she thinks, well, I just think it was the tree of life then. It must have been what I've heard about on Earth. It's probably just a fucking hologram. I hate to tell you the truth, but, well, I don't hate to tell you the truth. I hate to break the news to you, though, because people in this realm are so goddamn emotions driven and ego driven, not truth driven. It probably wasn't real at all. Just shown to her to deceive her. And it worked like a charm. Like it works on most beings. Just like most beings in this realm are fooled by most things that matter.
Front of this tree, and there's a big rock there. He said, "We can." And so we stopped in front of this tree, and there's a big rock there. He said, "We can sit here." And I felt I couldn't go past this tree. Now, I feel personally now this big tree was beautiful, was probably the tree of life. Okay, that's just my interpretation. But we sat, it felt like a significant tree. He sat there and he said, "Ask me what you want." And at this place, this tree, the tree looked kind of like white flowers, like a cherry blossom, but it had little red grapes on it. He goes, "We don't eat from it." And I was thinking, I wasn't thinking about that. I mean, I got a lot of questions. Really wasn't thinking about eating from the tree. He said, "It's a very wise tree." And I'm like, okay. I didn't want to talk about the tree. So we sat there and I asked him things like, how's energy?
The reason that's interesting to me is because they can't quite read minds the way some people believe. If it could read her mind, it would have known exactly as an entity what to say to her, what she was interested in and not interested in talking about. And they do say some baffling things, which leads me to believe they aren't just biological entities. There might be something else going on where they can't quite read us properly. They'll say weird shit like, "Oh, we can't eat from that," or "She said she wasn't thinking about eating from it." So it wasn't exactly reading her mind. I find that type of stuff interesting. We're not in a perfect prison matrix. We're in a system that's flawed, that has vulnerabilities that can be exploited. Not all is lost here, people, as some of these other channels want you to believe that there's nothing we can do. We're not in a perfect system of control. This can be defeated. And there's a lot of clues I presented on my channel over the years showing you that this can be defeated.
Awesome, but it had little red grapes on it. He goes, "We don't eat from it." And I was thinking, I wasn't thinking about that. I mean, I got a lot of questions. Really wasn't thinking about eating from the tree. He said, "It's a very wise tree." And I'm like, okay. I didn't want to talk about the tree. So we sat there and I asked him things like, how's energy made? And then he would instantly telepathy, mind to mind, boom, put it in my head. I just knew. And I was like, okay, I got bored with that. Then he started talking and he said, I want to talk to you about manifestation, how we create, how we create things from our mind. And I was like, okay. He said, in heaven, we do it really quickly. Whatever we want happens quickly if we want to be somewhere. It's the same process on earth. It just takes a lot longer. So that's why it's very important for you to be mindful of what you want and where you put your thoughts. And I was like, okay, can I try the one here? He goes, okay. So I visualized we were in a little boat and we were in a stream and these little fish came up and I was on one of these little boat. Jesus was on the other end. The fish swam up to Jesus. He picked one up and said hello to it, put it back down. He goes, that's how we fish here. Then he began talking about manifesting things in the world and manifesting love. And he began to talk about my mission and helping people to understand that they are loved and that they are important and help, people to know that, which he often tells me now, be the love you're created to be. And so I said, I don't know. This world's a lot going on. Remember, I just left with the violence that, everything was shut down because the fire is burning it, So, I'm like, I don't know about this world. I don't think I can do that. And he said, no.
You just left a world of violence. Did you mention, did you happen to mention what your stepfather was doing and that you don't want to go back to that? Who would send someone back into a world to suffer that? What kind of being would do that? What kind of being would do that? You start thinking about that.
Shut down because the fire is burning it, So often tells me now, be the love you're creating are important and help, people to know that, which he often tells me now, be the love you're created to be. And so I said, I don't know. This world's a lot going on. Remember, I just left with the violence that, everything was shut down because the fire is burning it, So, I'm like, I don't know about this world. I don't think I can do that. And he said, no, I could do it and that he would help me. And he had other that would help me and angels that would help me and he would help me. And then I had several ones over there helping me, but there are people on this earth that also had a similar mission and that they're also going to be doing it. And I wouldn't be alone. And I said, I just don't know. I just don't think those odds ring up. I don't think that. Yeah, so I argue with Jesus. I wasn't mean about it. I just what he was asking, I didn't think I could do. And so he guaranteed that I would be able to do it. Of course, this day I sit here thinking, am I doing it? And I don't know, but I'm trying. My mission is really important because I did say yes. So I was there for 3 days. I was put in a induced coma and I was there 3 days. Today I sit here thinking, am I doing it? And I don't know, but I'm guaranteed that I would be able to do it. Of course, this day I sit here thinking, am I doing it? And I don't know, but I'm trying. My mission is really important because I did say yes. So I was there for 3 days. I was put in a induced coma and I was there 3 days with him, which in the 3 days that I spent with Jesus in heaven felt like an eternity. And then bonus, when I came back, I still hear his voice and I still talk to him. But of course, I think that's available to everybody because we're all from heaven, right? And he loves everybody, even if you don't know him. But it changed me when I came back. I feel like that what I learned from my near-death experiences, I feel that the world that we live in is somewhat like a holographic universe that's creating experiences for us. And that this world, there's so much more than beyond what we can see. That the spiritual world, the veil behind it, is just as important as this world. And the things that we don't see are the most important, like faith, love, kindness, gentleness, passion, creativity, doing the right thing. All these things, these emotions and concepts are more important than things here. So I'm convinced that we are living in some type of, that our true self is a spirit and we're living in some kind of holographic universe to have this experience so we can learn and hopefully make.
I would say it's a holographic sewer matrix, not holographic universe. I wouldn't call it a universe. I think we're in a small contained thing that we need to get out of. If you want freedom, that's the way I put it. If you want to stay here, you can stay here. I'm not going to try to bother convincing people that want to stay to leave here. That's your choice. Choose wisely. And I don't believe most people can choose wisely, though, for themselves. going by the choices they make within this matrix, most people choose evil. They choose to follow evil. They choose to follow deceivers. They choose to have wishful thinking syndrome. They choose to avoid facing reality. That's what most people choose.
Gentleness, passion, creativity, doing what's important, like faith, love, all behind it. It's just as important as this world. And the things that we don't see are the most important, like faith, love, kindness, gentleness, passion, creativity, doing the right thing. All these things, these emotions.
Notice the fake space. Notice the fake space behind her. So many of these NDers have that. They feel very spiritual after they come back. Now, it's horrible what she endured in life. And it's unfortunate that she's just completely duped. As are most in this realm. Completely duped.
Gentleness, passion, creativity, doing the right thing. All these things, these emotions and concepts are more important than things here. So I'm convinced that we are living in some type of, that our true self is a spirit, and we're living in some kind of holographic universe to have this experience so we can learn and hopefully make good decisions based on love and unity.
So she says, have this experience so we can learn. And she was molested. How does that help you learn? Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's traumatic. It's brutal. It doesn't help children learn, obviously. It's a deception. Calling this a place of learning or a learning school or whatever, it's complete deception. Saying that you're on a mission. You can't fix this place. You can't change this place. You can suffer here and get traumatized and get sick and die and feel pain, all those things, but that doesn't teach you. Back to Jesus. This is a brutal fucking place. This is a sewer matrix. This is a hell realm. When they say on a mission, there is no mission to be completed here. No way to fix this place. It's designed this way. If it was fixable, why doesn't the guy on the screen or his father do it? Well, they don't. They send you to be tortured, to suffer here, and they make you believe you're on a mission. That you have to go back. It's a trick. It's a cruel, sick, sadistic deception. It's cruelty at the highest level. That's what it is. It is wicked, sick, evil, sadistic, brutal, callous, cold, corrupt to send anyone here, to gaslight them, manipulate them, tell them they have to go back here, tell them, lie to them that they have a mission. Fuck you to the so-called gods that appear to people. They're creatures. They're deceivers, they're shapeshifters, they're entities, they're monsters. It isn't Mother Nature in this realm, it's monster nature. Monster nature. And this is a sewer matrix. This isn't a good place. I'm trying to help people not fall for the on a mission bullshit. It doesn't add up. It makes no sense. I hope this video helps you. I hope this helps you. Mad love and strength to all good, true spirits. I'll play some music on the way out.
You're on a mission. You're on a holy future.